always sew my eyes on really, really tight. And just because I think of people with kids finding things and not being careful. But if you do have the opportunity, let me see if I can dig them out of my box. Safety eyes are another way to go with an eye. I've ordered these I think might have come from Amazon. There's lots of places to get safety eyes. You may have seen them before and never thought, oh, I could not use that. That looks complicated. They're really not. This kind has a metal back, and I'm like, okay, this would not be the eye for this monster, obviously, but you just push it through the fabric and then push the backing on it. And once that back is on, it's not coming back off.
That's a one-eyed monster. He's really
cool.
Actually, that's really good, actually. Use his eye.
Maybe he just needs a couple of little fangs or something, and that will work. Yeah, safety eyes are also a great choice. Embroidered eyes work well, or felt circles, and then just sew on felt eyes if you want to do that. I usually don't glue eyes. Huh?
Oh, I was just going to say, I do have a photo here of 4 of them that were made by one of our customers that they sent to us. So I don't know if I can share my screen, I can show the photo, but because you're describing like the different mouths and stuff, and she really varied things like you were just talking. So I don't know if we want to show those.
You should be able to share screen now.
Can I?
And then advanced, and then picture.
And sometimes I think our moods come out in whatever we're making anyway. I have a bunny rabbit that's out in my husband's office. It was a little bunny nugget pattern. I made it on a day my son had a car accident. He wasn't hurt or anything, but it was a stressful day, and that bunny definitely looks like he needs some kind of extra help. You can just see it in his eyes. He's not okay. But yeah, a lot of times I think our own expressions come out in our creatures. Another thing, because I've made a lot of different knitted creatures. Kyle has another creature that I've knitted there in his office. My current other obsession is the little knitted frogs that everybody's seeing everywhere. I'm still one leg short on my frog, but
here's the little guy I have.
Yeah, I've done a lot of different kinds of little creatures through the years, and like I always lay things down and I don't do any permanent facial features until I've like laid it down and looked at it. Because with some of them, like it changes whether they look smart or not. Like if their eyes are close together, or sometimes it makes them look angry if you get their eyes a certain way. Sometimes they just look a little bit slow. If you spread their eyes out, or their ears. Eyes and ears can really change the IQ of what your little critter looks like if their ears are wonky or whatever. And as far as gauge goes, the other thing you can look at, this is Kinky Yarn, which is really fun to do monsters with, especially if you get to work with children. And then this is about a DK weight. So again, in sock yarn, I love, I have enough random balls of sock yarn that there's no telling what I could make if I put them all together. They're great to throw in that monster bag with size 1 needles, and you could just do little, there's a sock yarn sized one.
Here's a scrappy little sock yarn monster. So,
and does he even have a mouth, or is he just eyes?
He doesn't need a mouth. He listens a lot.
Yeah. And or if you're like, hey, I'd really, maybe you're on the frog bandwagon that's, taking the world by storm. Maybe you feel like sometimes I do things that are a lot more labor intensive and leave them for people to find. Probably not one of these guys anytime soon, because there's still a lot for me to figure out. But maybe you have something else you've knit over the years that's fun. Or another thing you could add that's really fun is just knit another square and make him a pocket. And then you could just tuck his note down in the pocket, and he'd be great with a little pocket right on the front to store treasures in, or to just have his little note attached there. We're a university town. So I think the next few I think I want to put on campus as students start moving back in the next month or so. Because I think that would be really, college kids need that kind of comfort too. And if you're away from home, it would be kind of affirming to find something that someone left for you to make your day a little better. And a lot of kids and a lot of adults have never experienced having a handmade toy. And there's just something deeply special about something somebody made. I was talking to an artist friend of mine the other day, and we were looking at something someone else had made that I have also made. She's like, I just like yours better. I like, you can see the hand of your work in their eyes. And I thought that was really neat because, you know, you can go to the mall and see, or, you know, a gift shop and see rows and rows of stuffed animals that are mass produced. But yeah, we're makers. So like there's a little spark of us in our work, and I think that's really special. And I think even if kids don't know that you made it, like they don't personally know you, there's that spark is still there. They know somebody cared enough to make this just for me to find. And you know, you never know what's there used to be a group in England that did just animal drop of all different kinds. And I remember reading the stories and how impactful it was. Like I read the story of one mom who would walk home from the hospital. She had a child with a very serious illness. She would walk home and she would stop in the park and cry every afternoon. And one day there was a bunny rabbit sitting on a bench where she went to cry that somebody had made. And I was just like, wow, that's pretty powerful for some yarn and a little bit of stuffing to know that, you know, she had that completely changed her life, that somebody had made that for her. And I remember during the Joplin tornadoes, we made elephants, and there was one family that lost a son. He was sucked out of the sunroof of the SUV on the way home from his graduation. And I sent them a whole, like about 15 or 20 elephants, and they hid them on his favorite slide at the park. And then they would hide and watch kids find them. And it brought them joy. It, you know, it cost me like a couple hours of time and a little handful of stuff. And it brought them joy. Yeah, look at that face. There's somebody with a happy monster. And yeah, and it's easy to get discouraged to think of all the things going on in the world right now, but we could make somebody happy. We can make a smile like that just with a little bit of knitting or crocheting or sewing or felting or whatever. And there's, of course, Ty Pennington. I don't know if Mary is with us tonight, but my friend Mary connected with Ty, who has known Cece and I for years with the elephants. And he was happy to hide a monster for us. And yeah, that's really special. He's a really great guy. And Mary's a really good friend. I don't know if Mary is with me or not with us tonight or not, but she has knit everything coming and going that I've ever done.
Yeah,
and it doesn't take much yarn. It's not
with BeLinda, you're gonna find that there's lots of ideas which are infectious, which is awesome.
Lots of, and I always like to join in. It's always more fun if more people do it too. If everybody plays together, it's just more fun if we all can do it together.
So a couple other things about the expression of the little monster. One of the reasons that BeLinda already mentioned was that we want to keep the expression sort of not big smiles, not big frowns, because we want the happiness or whatever of the little monster to be assigned by the person who gets it. They're also genderless. They can be any gender that the child wants. And it's pretty nice to have a gift that not only is it handmade, but it's also not mass marketed. So this isn't a thing that we've been conditioned through commercials or social media. Or now that you've thought about monsters, I wonder, will you get, I don't know, monster cereal or something in your Amazon when you look at it because you've thought the word monster. So these things don't have any preconceived ideas of how this little character is supposed to behave. So it's an opportunity for adults and older children to sort of peek into the psyche of the child and see like what's kind of going on. How's the monster going to act? And it can be a good way to open up discussion and start to talk about feelings and all of that. I think that is a really important part of it as well. What else? Oh, so the one on Mr. Rogers, you saw that that one that was dropped. It was in a plastic bag because rain. So if you are putting things out in the public in a place where the weather can affect your little monster, you want to make sure that they are protected somehow. The other thing that I think is really important is to be aware of where we are putting these little monsters. So you want to make sure that like if you're in a national park, for example, we probably don't want to put monsters out in a national park because we don't want to leave things in a national park. It's something we don't do. You go out, you take pictures, you leave with the nothing that you came in with, except for all the awe-inspiring views and all that stuff. And then the other thing would be making sure that the monsters are left in a place where animals like dogs might not find them. So, you know, in a place that is easily found by the kids, but maybe a little more difficult for, you know, dogs who are like, oh, it's a toy, you know.
You keep concentrating on the kids. I mean, I think adults get thrilled with these more than kids do almost, because it's sort of like, oh my God, like BeLinda was saying, I never had a little handmade toy. I mean, this is pretty amazing. And I think some adults actually have more appreciation for the handmade part than some of the kids do. But
and
but
Haley just
still,
said little free libraries would be a good place to sneak these
Yes,
in.
as
Good
a
idea.
as an educator, I love libraries, also love them. Libraries, my daughter and I have knit not monsters, but other toys just as reading buddies for the library. Take in a bag to your library and they get really excited. If you want to pair it with a good story for a teacher this fall, this is a wonderful award-winning book about monsters and imagination that I use often when I'm telling. I like to do knitting units when I go to teach in preschool classrooms and go visit. And I have 2 or 3 knitting specific books, but then I love this one when I talk about my own toy making. Beagle is a wonderful story. Oh yeah, there they are with all their different little, you can see all their different little faces and hearts. I love to see little hearts. Somebody else said little free pantries. I can think of a couple of pantries in our town. That would be a great place to leave something for someone to find. And what encouragement and hope in a place when you might be struggling. Oh wait, another person said the return community near them has been begging them to hide monsters in their community. Wouldn't that be fun in a retirement community?
I know one.
So yeah, think about, yeah, it doesn't have to be kids. Yeah, a retirement community would love something like that. Somebody's wanting to see the photo back up again.
It took me a while before I found my share button. Sorry, people. There we go. I think these are just so cute. And it's funny, I recognize some of the buttons that are like, there's some Gale Hughes buttons on the monsters. And I'm trying to find who it was who sent us this photo, because I should give her credit, but I thought the little hearts were just a lovely added touch. And I love the way that the little, using contrasting yarn to do the hand stitching. If you're putting felt on and so on, it's just so sweet. And the 2 in the middle, I mean, is just a little piece of felt with, the stitching going right through it, which is very, very quick rather than going around the edges or something. And it just really makes it pop. It looks really cute. BeLinda, I do have a question for you. The one, if you're looking at these, the one on the right that's towards the front that has the red heart, does it look like that one actually had the slip stitches on the edges? Is that what it ends up looking like?
I kind of think so.
Okay. Because I was thinking that probably is, because like the one that we made here, we didn't do the slip stitches on. And like I did some pieces here and I didn't, but slipping, yeah, maybe you want to explain the slip stitches and what they do for the edges of the piece.
Yeah, I like slip stitches on the edge because where you're seeing the edge anyway. It's not like you're turning it wrong side out to sew it. Your edge is going to show. I just love doing that little slipped edge. And somebody says it looks like a crocheted version with a chain stitch edge. And that's what I was wondering, because I thought they looked crocheted. But yeah, you don't have to do it. Sometimes I do them, and even if I join the yarn, I'll leave the knots on the outside. So if you want your monster a little scruffier looking, or tie an extra couple, I think Kyle has a picture of one I did, and I think I have a knot on the outside.
It could be a
Where I
crochet.
tied on like a little washer or something.
Mm.
I can't.
She
These
says
actually,
there's
these
single-
do look. These are crocheted.
Yeah, single
These
crochet
are
around the
crocheted. Yeah, you're right. They are. Yeah.
Yeah.
and that makes a lovely edge. I don't know how to crochet, but I would almost be willing to experiment with crochet in that, because that wouldn't be a scary way to try it, to knit and then crochet the edge. I just love a slipped edge. I slip edges. I'm a big Mason Dixon dishcloth person, and I've slipped the edges on all of that stuff. Oh,
Well, slip stitches look so nice on knitted things. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I love having slip stitch. Do you slip stitch the last? I slip the last one and knit the first every row. Is that
yeah,
what
and
you
it
do?
just sometimes it depends on what it is and what kind of. I don't know, like I've done so many monsters, I almost have to do it for my hands to kick in and do whatever. I don't think that's how I wrote it, but I don't know that I change over time, because I quit following the pattern. Like I'll follow the pattern for a few and then I'll divert off the pattern. And I don't know how I do it without actually doing it.
So
Can I
this
just pop in a real
monster,
quick, a real
this
quick
monster-
credit? Oh, sorry.
this monster. Oh, go ahead, Karin.
Sabina Niehaus is the one who actually did all those crochet monsters and sent us the photo. So, and Sabina's here. Look at that. She wrote single crochet. Oh, see, I haven't even looked here. She has all these comments. Okay, so there we go. Now we know exactly. She did single crochet around the edge, guys. Got it. Me, I made them. Oh, see, I'm reading the chat too late. I had to look up the thing. Thanks for
So-
sending us the photo. They're great. They're just
Here
adorable.
is. So this is a little monster that was left, and then I don't know if I can. Whoops. Nope, I can't. So I'm going to change to this one, and this is the person that found it. So it's not always for the littles, I suppose. Sometimes we find little monsters next to the veggie slider buffet thing. And yes, Marjorie, that is another one of our folks who are here, which is so awesome. And these little tags that are made, there's lots of different ways to label your monster. So on the back of the pattern, I'll go back to here's my face. On the back of the pattern, there is a page that has four, you can cut it into four different little tags, and you can use a hole punch and label it however you want. You could print business cards if you want. You could also use like this kind of a tag, and attach it that way. But it doesn't have to be, it can be as involved or not involved as you want it to be, to make that little invitation for someone to take their new little friend out to where they are. So
That's another good place to involve children. If they aren't knitters, you can have your kids or grandkids or a class or whatever. You could give them a little outline or have them draw their own little illustration for the tag and put the message on one side and their artwork on the other side. And it's a way they can participate. I went through a shrink plastic phase with my tags, and that was fun for a while. And I would just write the information with the Sharpie marker, and then shrink plastic, have a little shrink plastic tag. Yeah, there's lots of different ways to add little tags to them and be as artsy or just have a little simple message so they know that that's for them and it's not a lost toy.
So I'm looking to see if there are questions. I see, the person who got that last one was an Iron Woman. That's fantastic. Are there questions about how to make a monster, where the monsters might be put, what materials to use, how to get on the Facebook? Oh, I can do that. I'll add those links in real quick.
Yeah, put the links. There's a Facebook page and a Facebook group. I discovered when we started that people would have questions about how to make them. And that was, I felt like was a better group discussion, because in the group there were lots of different kinds of makers. But then the page was nice because if somebody found one, they could go there. I know it seems weird to have a page in a group, but it really worked well for us before because we could have an actual thread going about, oh, well, I used this yarn with these needles, or how did you get your eyes to do that? Or just a conversation about what to use that wouldn't necessarily have been a good conversation for the page. And then on the page we had, and I think the group I'll have to add everybody in. And but I will add you in after this is over. I can't do multiple things at one time. I'll have to look at my phone in a moment. But the group is a great place if you're like, hey, I'm having trouble sewing this together, or do you have any other ideas for kid-friendly ways to do this? Or I've got this monster and I'm going to leave him today and I'm really excited, but I'm kind of nervous because I've not just left something before. There are plenty of people in the group that would love to talk to you about it. And then, you know, the page is a great place. I wanted people to have a place where they could, because there are people on the page that don't make monsters or find monsters. They're just people that have wandered along, found the page and thought it was interesting. So they're just kind of watching this unfold. And I think that's neat too, because I know last time I would have friends that were on the page that hadn't knit or done anything, but they would be like, hey, did you see? I just saw somebody found one and that was really neat. And that's another way to bring joy. It's another way for people to get excited. And maybe it sparks something in somebody else. They're like, I'm not going to make monsters, but I am going to leave a nice note on my coworker's desk today. Or I'm going to buy donuts for everybody in the office, or I'm just going to be pleasant to someone I don't like. You know, whatever it is, it's another way of putting more joy out there. Here it says we're still having outbreaks of COVID. How do you reassure the recipient that this is a COVID-free gift? I would just probably leave the tag and let them decide. If they didn't feel comfortable with taking it, they could just not take it. I don't know. There's no way to know how to speak to anybody's level of comfort with how that is. You just kind of have to, like, if I speaking as like I have COVID now, I think I may still be positive. I hope not. I've got to do another test. If I saw a toy, I would take it because I've read enough. I feel comfortable doing that. Kyle may be like, nope, there's no way I'm touching that. That person probably sneezed directly on it before placing it there for someone to find, and no, thank you. So I think we just put it out there with the tag, and if somebody feels really nervous about it, then it's not for them and somebody else finds it.
Yeah, and I find that we got a really wonderful response. I'll say a positive response to the monsters that have been found. The closest thing to someone being hesitant, there was a little boy who had gone on a trip, I guess, and he found this monster. And there's a picture somewhere in one of the pages where he took the monster and brought it to his parent and said, look what I found, can I have that? And the parent automatically went into the, I need to explain why you can't have this because it's not yours, and it's not, that must have been left for someone, like that must be something that another child left. But then they read the note, and the parent actually went on to Facebook and wrote a thing and included the picture of the little kid with the monster, and the child was really happy. And the parent was really grateful for the opportunity to say, yes, actually, this little thing was created and it was made for whoever found it. And it turns out that the person that found it is you. So you get to have it. And then they get the opportunity to enjoy that monster for a while. If they want, they can keep it forever. But you can also pass the monsters on. Yeah. So I think, did we send a monster? Or was an elephant? I think it was a monster we sent around.
No, I have elephant that I've sent around the world.
Was it the elephant?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking too, you said the monsters I would always hide a monster as I was going to the coffee shop in our little town. I would hide a monster in the windowsill of the art studio. And I had friends that lived on Main at the time, and they had a little bitty girl. She was probably 2 or 3 at the time. And I would sometimes come back and find the same monster in other places on Main Street in the same day. And and I would remember where I put it. It took me a little while to figure it out, but I think those girls would pick them up off of the Method studio porch and then move them, and they would be other places in town because I would see them relocated. And so yeah, sometimes you find it and then you want to rehide it for somebody else to find and see what happens. Or maybe you find it and you know somebody at work that's going through a really hard time. And you can be like, hey, look what I found on my way to work this morning. And I know you're struggling. This is for you. Or knit them one. If you have a friend that's going, you never know who might just need a little monster. Another stuffing option I wanted to mention that just floated into my head just now was little plastic pellets if you have them. I happen to have them from some other projects I've done, and I like to make a little pouch out of like an old sock or something. I don't like to stuff them solid, but that little weight in their belly is really nice. A little bit of pantyhose is nice, just to put a spoonful in, and it just gives them a little heft. They sit in the hand nicely. And so plastic pellets are also a stuffing option. Scrap yarn, if I cut off the tails of the yarn, it usually goes right back in. Or I don't even, like if it's all on the inside, I just leave all the tails inside because that's a little more stuffing. They don't need much stuffing. You could actually probably just do them flat and not stuff them at all. I did a couple of flat ones and they were cute out of the sock yarn size. You could probably add a handle to each arm and make a pouch out of them if you wanted to. There are lots of different ways to make them interesting. And the whole project, I kept it simple because I wanted it to be make it yours. Think about, maybe you really like sewing eyes out of felt. And so that's how you're going to do your eyes. You don't need a lot of instructions. You can make it however you want, and your way is the right way.
Yeah, and if like for example, if you don't want to add the ears, you can and for those who've seen the pattern or know it, you knit the top for a while, la la la, and then you'll knit a little ear and then across and knit another little ear. But if you don't want to have the ears, you can just make them flat. So there's a little note about some things that might be better than others. It is true, plastic pellets aren't awesome for the environment. So you can use other things as well.
Rice.
We do, yeah, you could use rice or dried beans or something, but if we are leaving things out in the outdoors, we want to make sure that we're not putting things that could be considered food for the animals, because we would feel terrible if, I don't know, a giraffe walked by and ate a monster and then had a tummy ache. That would be a bad thing. So
If that happens, let me know.
Well, also, if it goes to a kid and it's stuffed with rice and people don't know that it's stuffed with rice and they wash it in the washing machine, then they're going to have another problem.
But you put your pellets in a little baggie. Just put the rice in a little Ziploc baggie too.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's not going to be any more dangerous, I don't think, than
Yeah.
little pellets. I mean,
Another way to get filling, if you need
For
some kind of
bees.
a filling, is you can go to a place or and like the dollar store or whatever, very inexpensive places, and find throw pillows. Maybe the pillow's not very beautiful, but you can cut it open and then harvest the fluffy guts out of the pillow to make your monsters.
Or if you're
else
like
did
me, you have
t-shirt.
old pillows you're tired of that they could become stuffing too.
Yeah,
Cher is suggesting old t-shirt pieces. That's a great
Yep.
idea.
that's a great idea. Yeah. Or if
A
you're
plastic bag inside, especially kids like it. Like sometimes kids like something that makes a little noise. A plastic bag that has a little bit of a crinkle in it can feel nice on the inside because then you've got that noise to listen to. A little toy capsule with a jingle bell in the middle, and you can make one that jingles when you shake him.
Yeah, I was going to say they make crinkle material that is meant actually for dog toys that can go inside of them too. That makes a lot of noise.
And Sabine is saying, see, this is what happens when we get creative people in a group. Sabine's saying, well, the pillow that you're opening up for stuffing could also be turned into a monster. So you take that fabric,
Yep.
make monsters out of it.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so much you could do with upcycling, and things like that, or going to the thrift store and picking up old sweaters or Afghans or something that somebody knit, and you could tear them apart and use that yarn too if you don't want to, invest in new yarn. I have a feeling that everybody who is watching this probably has a fairly decent sized stash.
Oh.
That
We should
that they
mention,
could use.
most people probably already know this. If you get the newsletter and you're watching the newsletter, I hope that you're watching the videos, because we do, Diane, yes, our yarn scraps for stuffing is another good idea.
Yep.
So we do a video in each of our newsletters and
Mm.
talk about lots of things. And one of the things that we did, and I think the last one, Karin did the video, and it's all of that clearance yarn that we have in our clearance section of the website. It's already marked super, super low, and it is an additional 50% off using the code that is, it was in the video, it was in the newsletter, and it's now on a little banner, but it only goes through Sunday, I think.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if you're interested in some fun.
I just put the
mixed
code up,
colors,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I
worth
was saying, I mean, it's, the whole point is just to make the monsters, and I just have a, I mean, I hate putting in a sales pitch here. Because I mean, it is really something that you could do with all your scratch
Mhm.
or all your stash. And you know, it'd be really cool to upcycle a lot of stuff and do it that way. Old clothing that you were talking about, the pillows, I mean, people could use old clothing and things too. And yeah, but we do have a sale going on.
Yes, and you can also
Yeah.
mail them. So if you want to send a little care package to someone, you could send a little monster to them. Perhaps you fill it with lavender, or like make a little monster sachet for them, or I don't know, or not lavender.
Yep.
So
Anything. Yeah. Sure. Something we would wash all things first. Oh, yes, yes. Washing items
yeah,
first.
please wash the stuff before
Yes.
you use it. That would be a good thing.
Before
to
you
do.
pass it on. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good idea. I was thinking too, you know, if you put them in a little plastic bag because of COVID, I mean, you could have some fun with it and put a little note or something that says, I was bagged up on July 20th. At that point, I tested negative for COVID. But if you're hesitant to open me, store me in a place outside my bag for a few weeks or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
just
put me in the freezer for 48 hours
I
or
love
whatever.
being in the
just
freezer
don't
overnight.
put in your old COVID test that has a negative on it. That
Yeah,
would-
we want to be really sensitive too about just in general talking about trauma, things that could be triggering for and COVID for a lot of people has caused trauma. You know, we've lost lots of people. So we want to be sure to keep this as a very positive thing. But saying like I was packed up on this date, ready to go, that is really enough information for
Yeah.
a person to make a really informed decision about whether or not they're comfortable.
Yeah.
We don't even have to say
Yeah, or make him like a little hospital bracelet with the date when he's made, you know, make him a little plastic bracelet. You know, there's like, you could even put the tag on as a bracelet if you wanted to add your tag that way, so it's attached to his wrist.
Yeah, if you had a cute little, if you had a Cricut machine, you could make it out of that little vinyl stuff or something. And that might be sort of, you would now see, now we're getting carried away though.
Yeah, if you have a cricket, you could do his face with a cricket or add all kinds of cricket details.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're makers. We all probably have like 100 different, we could paint, we could, you know, we could each, if we had the monster challenge, you have to go find in your house right now materials to make a monster. We could all go running off and come back with Legos and paint and 1,000 different things, because we all are drawn to making things anyway.
Yeah.
Brown paper bags are a good way. There again, if you want to craft with a kid who may not be up for, I teach sewing and stuff as little as 4 or 5 years old. But I've done plushies before with nice heavy brown paper and then glue the whole edge and put a little stuffing in and draw a face on it. And it's a good way for a kid to experience making a stuffy that way. Yeah, or draw one on a card. There's so many different, you know, so many different ways you could pass on a monster. Inexpensive felt from the craft store. If you happen to not have felt, I would be curious to know how many of us have at least one piece of felt, or maybe a whole suitcase full hiding somewhere in their house. Yeah, if somebody said right now, I need you to make 75 monsters out of felt, I'd be like, I got you covered. There's plenty. Yeah, and that's an inexpensive supply, and it's another way to involve kids. Like they could just learn a really basic stitch for sewing around a thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
No. I think we're getting there. I'm wondering if we should have a recap, not a recap, but another meeting in a month and have everybody bring what they've made and share them.
Oh, that would be
Yeah, okay.
delightful. We could have a show and tell update.
Mhm,
Maybe we'll have hid one or we had a cool idea. We
mhm.
should do that.
I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
So-
do that and we'll put it in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
we've had
for
a couple
those of you
yes
who are
lately.
those of you who are looking on Facebook and trying to find the thing, if you just type in Operation Monster Drop in the little search bar on Facebook, you should be able to find the link. Or if you go onto our calendar on the Makers website, makersmercantile.com, click on the calendar, you can scroll to today's date and get on the page that has all the information about today's event that we're doing right now. You can click on that. The links in there that will get you to the Facebook page and the pattern and all of that.
Yeah, here is, let me see, the Monster Drop Project with a colorful little monster standing in front of a row of paint. And that's the Facebook page. And he was done with Kinky Yarn and a Sharpie marker, which is a super fun way to color yarn. Makes your Sharpies a little fuzzy, but it's so much fun.
And there's a free tutorial. There's a free tutorial for that on our website as well. If you want to do that, just so you know.
Yeah, and Sabine is asking, do we post pictures on the Facebook page? Sure, if you want to. If you have photos, you can join that, share
Absolutely.
pictures. I think one of the best ways to help others sort of pick up the needles or a crochet hook or sew or cut and make little monsters to give to other people is for us to talk about it with our friends and our family. So as you're making these things, you can post pictures on your personal page. You can tag Monster Drop Project. Just let them know, hey, I made this little monster and I'm sending it out. And then you can begin that conversation of these random acts of just joy of doing something for a person, and with no there's no expectation there. You leave it out in the world, this
No
little bit of
strings
happiness, and it's so cool.
Sometimes, because I'm in a small town and my friend group is going to be within 5 or 10 minutes of downtown. Sometimes I would say when I was going to have a drop, or like I would coincide dropping several monsters with a little local event. But sometimes I would just put a picture on my Facebook page of, this is where I left him. And then, some people were starting to go out of their way to look for him. When they saw that there was one, if they were downtown, they think, oh, I'm going to go look because I know where that is. And so, yeah, maybe even tease your friends a little bit. Look, I just left this here. If you've got a kid, go to the park, maybe you'll be the ones that find it or whatever. And, just make it fun. I know I don't think anybody left any inside a hospital, because hospitals sometimes have rules about what kinds of toys they can accept and things, but I know I've had people leave them in like park areas around, like outside hospitals too, because they know families, or Ronald McDonald House, I know people have left them there before because they know there are families there that are dealing with a lot, and that a little bit of joy can go a long way.
And cancer centers, places where folks go to get treatments or infusions, those can be opportunities to leave these as well. You can leave it at the front desk with the nurse or the staff, and then they can have a little basket there. Maybe you need a little buddy to hang out with you while you get your first treatment or your last treatment, or
That's
one
cool.
in between.
You want to have fun, give one to somebody else to hide. Grown-ups, you think it's just kid thing. If you want to see a grown-up get super excited about a thing, and you know which in your grown-up group is the people that are gonna be like, yes, I want to hide this. Maybe they don't know how to knit. Be like, hey, I'm making these and I'm leaving them for people to find, and I want you to hide this one somewhere that you go regularly just to see what happens. And that's fun too. It gets people excited about being part of the process.
Just don't drop them off at the airport.
Yeah, and leave them at the airport.
That could be
So,
dangerous.
Jeannie's asking copies of the note. So I think I don't know if you mean copies of the chat or if you're asking about the pattern. So we did record a good portion of this event. We're gonna add a little bit to it. Oh, maybe that.
That is part of the pattern. If you download the pattern online, if you download it online, you get the knitted and the crochet version, and you get these little notes that you can print off if you want. It is a PDF, but you could make your own if you wanted to too.
Yeah, I got the bag. I got the little monster bag and it wasn't in the bag. So that I must have missed what you said about that. So I'll go download the pack.
Yeah, so just add that pattern to your cart, check out, it's
Okay.
free, and then you'll be able to print it. And
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
perfect. So, all right, folks, so we are just a little past the hour. So Cara had a great idea. We'll meet up again in about a
Yeah,
month.
good idea.
Tell your friends and everyone about it as well. I want to say thank you to BeLinda for
Thank you.
encouraging us to be crafty and to make things and to, you know, it's okay to make things and give them away and put joy out in the world. Like the permission to do that is really wonderful. And I know that, you know, some of us are going to go out and make monsters. Maybe you'll start tonight. I don't know.
I can't wait to see what happens. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
thank you again, everyone. And we will we'll put in our newsletter when this recording is up and ready to go. And then we'll also, of course, put another, you know, didn't join us the first time. Here's another one. We'll have more people and we can do show and tell, a little monster show and tell. So.
And stay tuned. We might have more surprises. Who knows what might happen in a month.
Yes. Yes, we have lots of ideas. So be sure to join us next month because you never know what we're going to do. So, all right, everyone. Well, have a wonderful evening wherever you are. Tomorrow, reach out to people that you care about. Let them know you're thinking of them and go make a monster or 7. And we will talk to you next month.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.